Pranakasha live stream.
Hey folks, it's Matt at Pranakasha Productions, and today we are talking with Sean Mic.
What's good?
And Sean is an Orville fan.
Huge. That's awesome.
A musician, rapper, and artist too, right?
Yes. I guess those are all the same thing in a way.
Oh yeah. All different corners of the same triangle.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to say, so is Sean Mic your real name, or is that like a stage name?
It's a good question. So my full name is Sean Michael Gardner. My dad, when I was a kid, always called me Sean Mic. So eventually when I did start getting into rapping, I was trying to think of a stage name. I already knew Sean Mic was the perfect name.
Yeah, it is. It is perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Very good. Well, so I know you, Orville Nation, everybody calls him PJ. I call him Pedro because I know he speaks Spanish. He recommended I talk to you. So that's about all we know of each other right now. So we've got that. Though I will say my youngest son is also a rapper.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And, yeah. So I have a little connection there. And of course, I'm a musician too. I get,
Yeah, I did see that. You're like, are you? Is it classical music?
Yeah, that's my main thing is violin and cello. Actually, there's a cello back there somewhere.
very, very cool. That's honestly, that's my, if not second, third most favorite genre. I love classical music.
Oh,
I
cool.
grew up. I started playing in my elementary school band in the 5th grade. I played the clarinet, and I got really good at that. I went to a band camp called Interlochen, which is a really prestigious band camp in Michigan.
I've been to Interlochen.
Oh, you're familiar with Interlochen? Yeah,
I grew up in Ann Arbor.
There. That's right. I remember you saying that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I was recently in Detroit too.
You were recently in Detroit?
Yeah, like a couple months ago. Yeah.
Nice.
I got a buddy who lives there. And he was like, you should come down and visit Detroit. And I'm like, I don't want to get to Detroit. That place is a total dump. And he's like, no, it's not. It's changed a bit. So I went and I was like, whoa, this place is about 10 times better than Seattle. Which is where I live
that's
now.
a hot take. See, it's funny. I actually just went to Seattle last fall. First time there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, downtown Seattle's taking a major hit since COVID.
Oh,
yeah. So there's a lot. We have a lot of homeless problems now, and tons of drug users and everything. So it's really funny how things have flipped. People used to think that's what Detroit was, but all of Detroit that I saw was really nice.
Yeah, no, Detroit's on the come up.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. So, well, what we could do if you want, we can just launch right into one of your songs and then talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Want to do that? Okay, so I got it queued up right over here. And this song is called Living on the Orville.
Feel like I'm living on the Orville. With me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. Feel like I'm living on the Orville. With me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. And as I'm living, I just zoom up out of here. Hey, follow me and zoom up out of here. Hey. I'd sacrifice my life like I'm missing birth to spit the verse. Never hurts the vision, living a life different dimensions. Seek vengeance like Kelly Grayson. Boy, I ain't playing and it's over now. Call me Captain Mercer, this beat is Krill and it's going down. Ride with me, die with me, that's what I need as my union grows. Boldly I'm going when no one's never ever gone before. Zapping away them haters, always climbing from cloud. This world is divided. One day your team can leave your alliance and so in turn I tell them leave. I ain't rolling with the fleet, let them be. Just like Topa, I ain't different. I am me. I'm the captain of my vessel on the path to be successful. Come on in, it's time to take you for a ride. Feel like I'm living on the Orville. With me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. Feel like I'm living on the Orville. With me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. And as I'm living, I just zoom up out of here. Hey, follow me and zoom zoom up out of here. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, I'm feeling real proud. I got the wheel now. Rolling in my own ship with Lieutenant Captain Commanders. A music marine following dreams. A winning team breaking into Miss Symphonies in the smithereens. Let me tell you who I got me bringing God into my life. My crew is my protection. They will guide me on this flight and they will guide me as I write. I know they always got my back. So let me introduce my posse on this plan of attack. Let's go. It's time to win. So come on in. Let's take a spin. Hey, let's begin. This rap's a 10. Just sing to him. This dude's my den, my bestest friend. That's where I've been. My pad and pens, my medicine, my Dr. Finn. Rolling in my own ship with Lieutenant Captain Commanders. We bringing damage, invade the planet. What gets I was handed. I'm learning it all. Looking at this game from afar. Now I'm an educated brother like Lieutenant Lamar. In every rhyme I spit's important. I bring the pain like I'm Borders. Pen my pilot, my Gordon. My brain like Isaac supporting. Been saving dough to afford it. Security, it's important. So every dollar's my toddler. Let's take this feel like I'm living on the fly with me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. Feel like I'm living on the fly with me, come fly with me, come fly with me, come fly. And as I'm living, I just zoom, 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 zoom up out of here. Hey, follow me and zoom, 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 zoom up out of here. Feel like I'm living on the Orville.
All right, that was cool. That's cool. All right, I'm already getting ideas. Okay, I gotta stop this. Stop. So yeah, I don't suppose you do any acting.
You know, I'm not really a trained actor. I've always been interested in trying and attempting acting, but
Okay.
I've always thought I do. You know, the closest I've done to acting actually is music videos.
Okay. Well, that's a start. Okay, wait a minute. Stop. That was Tim Russ about to start playing, by the way, aka Tuvok. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've watched any of my show, but I have a Star Trek show called Egotastic Track.
Egotastic Track. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Star Trek / Orville fan series.
Okay.
I'm working on episode 5 right now, so I'm always on the lookout for guest stars and stuff. So
yeah,
I might hit you up, especially if they've got musical ability.
Yeah,
and I could I could easily figure out a way to work your song into my show.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun time, man. Yeah, I'd definitely be down for that.
Okay, we got to keep in touch with that one.
Yeah.
How did you get into the Orville then? Obviously, you really like it if you made a song about it.
Yeah, so I mean, I started watching the Orville like the very first season whenever it premiered. I forget when the actual pilot premiered, but I sat down and watched it on that first night because I remember seeing the trailer for it. I was like, man, this looks really cool. And I watched it the first night and I've been impressed ever since.
Yeah. So are you also into Star Trek?
Not as much really in the Star Trek. Mainly, and that's not like a diss on Star Trek. I think Star Trek is awesome. Obviously, because Orville is very similar to it. I just, I'm in my 30s, so I grew up, and my father was a big Trekkie. He loved Star Trek, but I kind of just got a little overwhelmed by the lore that I never really knew where to start. I saw the movies that came out in like 2010. 2009, like those movies.
J.J. Abrams ones, yeah.
Yeah, those films. And I love them. I really did.
Cool. Okay, so let's see. So if you're in your 30s, that means that you were born in the 90s? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what was going on then? Deep Space Nine was happening.
Yeah.
And then when you were kind of young is when Enterprise showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you probably saw some Next Generation reruns and the original series reruns and stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with like the different series.
Yeah.
Like the different types of shows since that time. But I grew up really big into sci-fi and fantasy. Big Star Wars guy as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then you're into the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm into the whole thing.
I don't have much Star Wars stuff on this set, which I just realized. Okay. Even though there is a fair amount of Star Wars stuff in my show too.
So is there like, what is it with like Star Wars and Star Trek fans? Like, is it like there's this like myth, I feel like, that they just dislike each other? Is that true?
Not really. There's tons of people that like both shows.
Yeah.
But I mean, way back when Star Wars first came out, there were people that would say, well, Star Wars is more of a comic book type of thing compared to Star Trek. Star Trek's more thoughtful science fiction and stuff. There was that going on.
Yeah.
You know, of course, both of the traditions have really matured now. So, I mean, it just depends on what show you're watching.
Yeah.
You know, like
they're two different style shows.
Yeah.
Like you said, Star Trek, science fiction, Star Wars, more fantasy, involves magic. It doesn't have to explain things as much. It's more about the characters.
Yeah. I've heard that. I'd heard them say that Star Wars is more science fantasy and Star Trek is more science fiction. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, Star Trek had Q, which is basically a magic being that could do anything. And even back in the day, in the original Star Trek, they had Trelane, the Squire of Gothos. So they still had plenty of all-powerful beings that could basically snap their fingers and make anything happen. So I don't know, what's the difference?
They never explained it as much?
What's that?
They didn't explain their existence as much?
I mean, they always explained it somewhere like, oh, these guys are just a really powerful, advanced race. Somewhere you'd find that out. But still, I mean, I guess Star Wars has the Force, which is sort of a magical power and a religion.
Right.
And Star Trek generally stayed far away from religion.
Right.
Until Deep Space Nine. And then suddenly they dove way into it with the prophets, you know, and the entire religion of the planet right nearby the space station. The Bajoran religion and all that. And like the main character, Cisco, would always have these visions of, you know, being in this sort of heavenly realm. He talked to his, you know, visions of his dead wife and talked to the prophets and all this kind of stuff. So
they did explore it a little bit.
They did. And actually, I kind of explored a lot in my show, too. So there's this recurring character that starts showing up who claims to be the Lord God Almighty. And we're still trying to figure out whether this being really is God or if it's just some capricious, powerful alien being.
Yeah.
And Captain Hardinger, the character that I play, doesn't believe it's God yet. And I don't think the audience does either. And as the writer, I don't say whether it is or not.
Ooh, okay. I like that. You leave it up in the air.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I like that is because, I mean, in real life, if some being showed up and claimed to be God, then you'd be in the same predicament. You're like, well, how do I know you really are or not?
Yeah.
What can you do to prove me? Then it gets into all these questions of, well, how would anybody know? I mean, everybody has their image of what they think God is, but none of us know. All we know is basically from the mythology and the culture. So we would have to go through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a solid point.
Yeah. So that's going to be going on and on in it. So, okay. Well, let's talk about your rap song. So, I heard it once, so I caught some of the stuff. So, is there any particular characters in the Orville that you really like?
It's so, you know, I like all of them, but my top three are Ensign Burke, Charlie Burke, just because I think I like Ann Winters as an actress. I think she did a phenomenal job.
Okay.
I like Bortus, just because I really like Bortus's dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
I love dark sense of humor. It's funny. So like, especially like the season finale during the wedding, his speech. Oh, tears of laughter when that happened. And third, probably Lamar. I would have to go.
Okay.
Yeah, John Lamar. Just because I don't know. I feel like a lot of Black characters in media are portrayed as like I don't know, ghetto or that, it's always like they always gotta be like hood or something. So it's
Right,
really
there's a
cool to see
stereotype.
like an educated black man. There's something about that. I feel like there's not a lot of that. So I mean, I really like that about Lamar. Plus, Jay Lee is a really good actor, really talented
Yeah,
actor.
yeah.
I like what he does.
Of those three people, I actually met two of them in person. So, Anne, I met in the lobby of Jay Lee's recital that he put on down in L.A. I don't know if you know this, but Jay Lee is a super good classical pianist.
I've seen video of him.
Yeah, I was at the recital that video was made.
Really? That's dope, man. That's cool.
And I got like the best seat in the house. I was like sitting in the very front row, like right. I could see everything. Wow. Do you know JP talking the Orville or Egotastic Fun Time? You ever watch his channel?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of his content.
I found out about the concert through him.
Okay.
And I was like, well, how do I go? And he's like, well, just go to their website and buy a ticket. And the tickets were like $50.
That's a steal. And you got like seventh row, you said?
No, front row.
Oh, you got front row.
Yeah,
wow.
And it was actually see, he didn't Jay Lee didn't really advertise it that much. It was mostly just supposed to be a concert for all his friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But the tickets were publicly available, and I was like, okay, I'll buy one, and then I'll fly to LA.
That's what I love about the Orville community, man. They're so like you said, you talked to JP and he hooked you up with that, gave you the info. Like everybody's so nice and communicative.
Yeah, and his now wife Jessica was with him, and she scored me the seat.
Really?
So I ended up sitting next to her, and then right next to her was JP.
Yeah.
Just the three of us were right there in the front row.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah. And then I got to talk to some of the staff, like Penny Johnson-Gerald was there.
Awesome.
Got to talk to her. And who else? Seth wasn't there, unfortunately. And I really was hoping Chad Coleman would be there.
That would have been cool to meet Chad Coleman. Yeah.
Because I was really into The Expanse, too. I don't know if you've ever watched that show.
No, I can't say that I have. What's it on?
The Expanse it started out on Sci-Fi.
Okay.
But now it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay. I'll have to check
it. Ran for 6 seasons. And it's another sci-fi show. Kind of dark sci-fi, political type of stuff. Sort of a bit soap opera-y. But it was based on a series of books. But anyways, Chad Coleman played a character in The Expanse called Fred Johnson, Colonel Fred Johnson, who was like this really badass Marine guy. So complete opposite character of Clyden. Like if you saw him in The Expanse, you're like, whoa, that's the same actor? No way. So anyway, I knew him from The Expanse first, and then realized that he was also in the Orville.
Yeah. See, that's what it was for like with Ann Winters when she played Ensign Burke, because I saw her. My first time seeing her was on 13 Reasons Why, which is a completely different show than the Orville. It's like a high school serious drama show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So just to see her transition to how she played Ensign Burke was phenomenal.
Yeah, she was really great in season 3 of the Orville. And it's so funny because in the show, she seemed like a really badass, really tough chick, right?
Yeah.
And in real life, she's like really small and short and really skinny. So like, I mean, you don't feel the slightest bit intimidated by her in real life.
She killed that role, man. I mean, that's that actress mentality.
But once they zoom in on her and then she puts on her war face, this whole other thing comes out.
I wonder what kind of things like I mean, not just her, but mainly her. I'm just kind of curious because that's a really good point. Because like you said, she doesn't really look too intimidating outside of the show. Like what kind of things did she do to prepare for that role? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe someday I'll get to interview her and we can find out. Yeah. So, and then of course, Jay Lee's an interesting dude. Cause he, in a lot of ways, he's very similar to his John Lamar character in that, the way they both characters try to act real cool, and real hip.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they kind of go out of their way to make themselves like just a normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that they're like this super genius, you know, and this normal guy is a bit of an act, you know, just
Yeah.
to try to fit in.
Yeah.
And Jay Lee is like that too, because I mean, the guy, you can't get that good on piano without, number one, being really talented, number two, putting in a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And then he does all this other stuff. He's a filmmaker, you know, he writes scripts and he does indie films and stuff. And so he's a really smart dude.
Yeah.
But then even in the concert that he put on, he still would flip back and forth between his, you know, classical musician, you know, dude. Then he would flip over and kind of clown around and sort of talk about the songs. And he really tried to make the audience feel really comfortable with them. So that's another thing that made the concert really good.
That's
also
awesome,
the fact that he not only did he play classical music, which is already impressive for an actor, somebody that you just consider an actor.
Yeah.
But he was super good. I mean, I loved his technique was really excellent, and I really loved his interpretations of the pieces. So I was like, dude, this is really good. So
Yeah.
it was
I mean,
really cool.
You can really tell that he's just kind of a down to earth dude. I've never met him
Yeah.
before, but just judging from what I've seen from interviews and yeah, I mean, you're definitely, as far as the piano, you're definitely right because like as far as like musical knowledge, in my opinion, the piano is the toughest instrument to play. So the fact that he is able to play those songs and play them well, again, judging from what I've seen from his videos, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also a very useful instrument if you're a composer or a songwriter or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm still learning the piano a little bit, but I've always wanted to, you know, learn more about musical theory because that's such an important topic as a musician. So the piano is like the perfect instrument to learn if you want to learn another instrument and learn more about musical theory.
Yeah, and if you're a songwriter and into songs, you should learn a little guitar too. You probably ought to play guitar already, just to learn how to do.
I've attempted
basic chords and stuff.
Yeah,
it's those two instruments for that reason. The advantage guitar has is that you can pretty quickly learn a few different chords and strum away on it, and then start making up songs based on a pretty simple set of chord patterns, you know. And then from there you branch out and learn how to do weirder stuff and stuff like that. But yeah, that's cool. Wow. So and the rap song, did you just wake up one day and like, oh, I want to do an Orville song, or how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so PJ from Orville Nation hit me up because he saw one of my old songs on my YouTube. I had tweeted about the Orville. It was when season 3 was airing, and he said, "Man, your music's really good. You know, we want to interview you." And by we, he meant him and Maria.
Maria Tiantella, yeah.
Yeah. And then Maria was like, "Yo, you should actually, before we interview you, you should write an Orville rap, like make a rap song about the Orville."
Okay.
And I said, you know what? This season's been pretty fire. That's a pretty good idea. Why don't I do that? So I began my journey doing that in June. And Matt, I'm really picky. I'm really picky with my work. I just want everything to sound as perfect as it can. So I started it, like I said, in June, and I ended up writing it in November, setting up a release date for January the 6th. But yeah, I mean, I just got done watching the episode where Ensign Burke sacrifices herself to save the crew, to save Isaac. And that's why I started off the song saying I'd sacrifice my life like I'm Ensign Burke to spit a verse. Because I was right in that mindset, and that's how I started off the first verse. And I don't know, I was just really, the first verse didn't take me that long to write.
Okay.
The second verse kind of a little bit, because again, I wanted to connect. But the first verse, I was just so inspired, man, by that show. Because I thought season 3 was phenomenal. And after watching that episode where Ensign Burke sacrificed herself, it was game on. So it was a fun ride. But yeah, that's long story short. PJ hit me up and I went to work.
There you go. Wow. Yeah. So, when you make your rap songs, what software do you like to use to put it all together and edit it and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I actually go to a recording studio here in Michigan.
Oh,
There's
okay.
an engineer that I go to. His name is Krakalak.
Okay.
So he has his own studio. I go to him. I want to get a little bit more into like audio recording. I'm planning on to in the future, but for this specific song, I wanted it to sound really professional. So I knew
Wow.
Krakalak was my guy. I've worked with him a lot. He
Okay.
engineered my debut album, so I knew he was the guy to go to specifically for this song.
Okay. Well, that can get real expensive real fast.
Yeah, it can
So,
get real expensive.
Did he give you a deal, or did you have to pay the usual rates?
I paid the usual rate. I don't like to be the guy that asks for deals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't like to be that guy.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, so now you're talking like, like 50 to 75 bucks an hour type of a thing.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So you can burn through tons of money real fast.
yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing. Though, did you already put together a demo and everything before you went into the studio?
So I didn't put up a demo or anything. What I did was I found the beat and I wrote to it first, and I rehearsed it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times until it sounded good. Because, as you said, you're spending a lot of money when you go to a studio and have somebody record it, and you're on the clock.
Right.
So when I go into the studio, I make sure my song sounds 100% perfect to the teeth.
Before you even show up.
Yeah, before I even show up. All my lyrics are written. I got the beat all set up. I email the beat to my engineer. So he has the beat ready to go. I step in the booth and I start recording.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you still did a lot of the work yourself beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I mean, in other, like in your typical pop song, well, so rap has the advantage of like what you said right now is the way most rap songs are made these days is you can go find a beat. You can either create your own beat, which is basically the percussion and the musical element of the song.
Yes.
All
the
or these days, as you know, you can just go out and just search for beats and say, "Oh, I like that one," and you just download it.
Yeah.
And
pay them, obviously. I pay for the producer, and they make it so easy now.
Yeah. And what you can do, some of them are free, other ones are you have to pay a licensing fee.
Yeah.
Or a flat fee or whatever. And you can do that and just get your beat and off you go. Or you can also add more stuff to it if you want. You can add more tracks. And so that makes it easier to create a song without spending a giant amount of money.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like
so glad I've grown up in this era.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, in the 90s, I mean, I'm sure it was a lot different. You had to actually physically find producers, go to them. Now you can just go online and just buy them off websites. It's so nice.
Yeah. It's like if you were going to do a pop song, it would be typically what you would do is you would go into a studio. If you're not doing it yourself, if you're doing it in a studio, this is when it starts racking up the money really fast.
Yeah.
As you would multi-track it, every instrument would have to lay down their own track.
Yeah.
And that can take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah, I mean, you could spend a whole week just doing one 3-minute song.
Yeah.
And
I'm familiar.
$50 an hour. That by the end of the week, you spend a lot of money. But yeah, okay, so that's cool. So when you develop the lyrics for it, like, are you able to do it pretty quick, or does it take you a long time to figure out the lyrics for a whole song?
The first verse, if I have a concept, it doesn't usually take me long, but that second verse is usually a challenge. Third verse, that we don't even got to get into that one if there's a third, but the second verse, if that's usually kind of a challenge, but that's just because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I don't like to just lay down words on a verse just to lay down words. I want them to connect. The way I enunciate the words, it's really important to me too.
Right.
Like, I'm going to say different words in a more aggressive tone at a different part of the song compared to, how I start off a song. It's going to be different. I really try and focus on enunciation and things like that.
Right.
And I also added in some singing harmony. This is my first time for a song really singing as much as I did. like
I
on the
like
hook.
that. In hip hop and rock, I personally like it when they add a little bit of melodic element to it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I agree,
I think
man.
it
Yeah,
really helps
melodic
it.
elements are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then like you said, obviously I'm not a rapper, but I know I've learned a bit from my son, and then
Yeah.
also just
Hey, it's all
hearing it on the
music,
radio.
man. It's all music
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But obviously, a big thing in it is exactly like you said. Is if it's purely spoken rap, it's all about how well you say the words
Mm-hmm.
and how you enunciate and the emotion that you can put into it, and then also just your
Abs-
sense of rhythm.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, your flow too, like the way you like in the first verse of Living on the Orville, I switched and I said, call me Captain Mercer, this be this crew, and let's go and rap with me, dab with me. You see how I switch up the tempo, the flow?
Yeah.
Stuff like that is important too. Like when do you do that?
Yeah,
That's the type of stuff I think of when I write.
yeah, that's cool. Have you ever done any of those? I don't know what you call it, like a rap off or when you got two rappers that just have to just sort of make stuff up on the spot and
Oh, a rap
it's sort of
battle?
like a fight.
I've never done that. That's a whole different art form. I respect those guys.
That
That's
sounds
not
like it'd be really hard.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. Like I practice freestyling all the time, and I've gotten a lot better at it. I've gotten pretty good at it, actually, if I do say so myself. But battle rap is a whole different level. I would never even come close to those guys. Those guys are talented.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose if you really practice it a lot, you could develop the skill.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, anything just takes practice. Repetition is the mother of skill.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there's such things in acting, too, of course, where, like, they'll do things like they'll have people in the audience pull something out of a hat, and then that creates the plot and then the characters, and then the actors on stage have to just go at it.
Yeah, that's a little bit, and I feel like you're talking about like impromptu acting.
Yeah.
Impromptu
Yeah,
acting. I haven't
improv.
really done it before, but that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I guess that is kind of like freestyling without rhyming. You're playing a character.
Yeah.
You just think of it from the spot. That's
Yeah.
a good comparison.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I gotta fix something on my laptop because I heard it ding, and I think what that means is my Facebook Messenger is open. Okay, so hold on for a sec. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. Let me send a message.
Okay, I'm back. No more of that. So yeah, that's cool. So do you also do some like dancing too, or anything like that?
Not really a dancer.
Okay.
I attempt to dance,
Yeah. me.
but it's not really. I'm not Michael Jackson or anything.
Okay. That's cool. Well, we might have you dance on my show a little bit. See, I can just see it. Like, part of what my show's like is most of the actors have some other talent, like singing or musical talent or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I always figure out some way to showcase it in the show.
Yeah.
So
you
for
give me a
sure,
little
we could get you.
choreography or something to practice. I can get it
Yeah.
down.
It's all done in green screens too. So, I mean, you can do a jillion takes of it until we get it right. But for sure, we could do some kind of rap thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. That's cool. Well, what other songs do you got cooking right now? Do you got anything that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so this year, 2023, what I'm planning to do is release songs every quarter, so every 4 to 5 months per se. And I'm planning on releasing visuals with those songs. Now that I've kind of stepped, because this is my first time I've ever made a song about a show of living on the Orville. So I'm planning on while this is new, while I'm working on the other song, because all those other songs that I'm working on are like outside of like the film. Is just kind of me just talking about life. But I'm also thinking about doing some more like sci-fi kind of songs, since people seem to really like, when I did this.
Yeah, there's whole bands dedicated to Star Trek.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So I'm sure they could have you could have an Orville album or something.
That'd be wild. I have to do
Um,
if they announce like a season 4 or something. I have to do like a special song for that.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Do you know Elise Hargraves? Do you know her? She's
Yeah. Yeah.
Australia.
She's making the game, right? The Orville game. Yeah.
Yeah. Should you might want to talk to her because you potentially she might want to put like your character in there or maybe.
Oh, we've
use
already talked.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's creating a character for me.
Oh, great, perfect. All right, you guys are already.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Shout out to Elise. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so you're already hooked up to PJ, Elise. Who's another one who's big in the Orville community that I know? Eric the Smoke. Do you know him?
Yep. Me and Eric the Smoke got a couple videos coming out actually.
Oh, cool.
So
there's another one. You could probably convince him to let you become his cast member on his Orville show.
Yeah. Oh, we got ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got ideas.
That's cool.
We talk.
Yeah, that's really fun. Trying to think what other kind of stuff is going on right now. What I wish, because I like to go to Star Trek Las Vegas every August, and there's a couple. There's usually like one or two Orville actors that'll be there too because they've been both in the Orville and in Star Trek.
Yeah,
and
I wish. Go ahead, finish your point.
I wish like the Orville would have a little more exposure in the cons,
right?
You know,
right. The last one was San Diego, right? I think they were at.
Yeah.
Penny just announced she's going to be one in Pennsylvania. I forget when, but
cool.
that was just announced.
Okay. And you live in Michigan still, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a Midwestern.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear this.
Guy.
There's a slight Michigan accent.
The Michigan accent.
So
I don't know what the Michigan accent sounds like. We don't hear that often, but you're not the first. It
depends how far north you are. Like for you, it's very subtle. But if you go farther north, then it starts to get that
yeah, the northern Michigan accent. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
Because when I lived in Ann Arbor, people didn't have much of an accent either. But
yeah,
if I just drove for an hour north to see like my family in Frankenmuth, then up there they are, even though they all spoke German as well as English, they also had the O's that I can't even do it. It's kind of the Minnesota type of O. I can't even do it yet. But
the Yoopers.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So right now, is it like snowing like crazy where you live?
Yeah, we had a pretty good snowstorm today.
Okay.
For the non-UP.
Yeah.
Got like 4 to 5 inches. That's big for us.
Oh. Okay. Because like where I lived, like you would get like at least a foot of snow every winter.
In Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been kind of a quiet winter. This is our second snowstorm. The first one we did get about a foot.
Okay.
That was a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not complaining.
Okay. Okay. Now speaking of the area you're in, did you ever get into Eminem?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can't grow up in Michigan and not get into Eminem. I'm not like a crazy fan like some other people, but I definitely appreciate his work.
Okay. Yeah. My son was really into him for quite a while.
Yeah. Marshall Mathers.
Yep. Trying to think who else is around in that area. Well, of course, there's if you're into football, there's the University of Michigan.
Yeah, but I went to MSU, so.
Okay. So you're into Michigan State.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that rivalry. It was basically Michigan against Michigan State or Michigan against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's very cool. So during COVID, I mean, everybody had to hunker down. I suppose you were doing recording projects and stuff during that time.
Yeah. So during COVID, that was crazy because I dropped my very first album, my debut album.
Okay.
So it was a little more than recording. All the recording was done. I was marketing during COVID.
Okay. Have you done much live performing of your stuff?
In the Michigan area, meaning like Lansing, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some good number.
How does that work? Do you just do it like in clubs and bars and stuff?
Yeah, we got different venues.
Okay.
Like in the area.
Oh, that's cool.
I've never rapped there before, but I mean, Ann Arbor has the Blind Pig. I don't
Okay.
know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard
Small
of it.
venue.
Yeah. Because that, of course, is the way. Of course, I mean, nowadays people don't even make CDs anymore. Everything's online. But
Yeah, everything's digital
not
now.
too long ago, a decade or so ago, the thing to do was you'd have your CDs, and then you'd sell them online, you know, and sell a few maybe one or two a week or something online.
Yeah.
But then when you do a show, you'd sell a bunch of them
Yeah.
right there at the show.
Which people still do that. What's
Yeah.
kind of happened now is like the merch has turned into CDs. So from a finance standpoint, a lot of ways to make money as an artist is having merch because people just like to have stuff.
Right. The T-shirts and the hats.
Yeah,
and-
something physical to hold on to.
Right. Yeah. And of course, well, now LPs are coming back for that exact reason.
Oh yeah, LPs have made a huge
Yeah.
return back.
Right. And that really is basically to satisfy that desire of having something
Yeah,
physical.
I got a collection. I'm
Yeah.
sure you got a collection.
Actually, to tell you the truth, no, I
No?
never really bought
Wow.
into the LP craze because I'm old enough that I grew up when I was a kid
Mm-hmm.
and everything was LPs.
Yeah.
And then finally, when we had CDs, I was like, oh, these are the coolest things ever. These are way better than records. But for me, doing an LP is completely going backwards. Besides
okay.
what people say about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but I do understand. I understand the allure of that you really want something physical
Yeah.
and big. It's the cool thing, which was true about LPs. They were way bigger, so you open it up and you have basically like a magazine that you can look at, and
Yeah.
so the cover art was it was easier to enjoy it because it's bigger and so on.
Yeah, it's more of a collector's item. I mean, I have a record player now, but there
Yeah.
was a time where I didn't even have a record player. I just bought the LP just to have the LP.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's like people buying comic books, you know.
Mhm.
Now everything's online too, but people still like to buy physical comic
Yeah, the
books.
physical copy. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good comparison.
So that's all good. Yeah. So, well, could you give us any hints about like what your latest rap song is?
My latest
Working on
rap
right now?
song.
Like the one that's half written, it's still part of it's just still in your head.
Yeah, so there's a song that I'm working on. There's going to be 3 artists plus a singer.
Oh, cool.
I don't want to announce the release date on it, but
Okay.
it kind of is to your point of songs that are, kind of pretty close to being done. So the song is called Dear Anonymous. And what we're doing is we're writing a letter to basically our future wife that we haven't met yet. So I'm finding 3 artists, preferably unmarried artists, who don't really have a relationship or anything like that.
Okay.
And we're calling the letter, we're describing our future significant other.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool song. My verse is all done and recorded for it. I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Oh, so it's a true collaboration. Each person does one verse or something?
Yeah, each person writes their own verse to Anonymous.
That's kind of interesting.
And Anonymous is, we don't disclose who Anonymous is.
Okay.
So it's kind of up to them. And from their perspective, it may not even be about a significant other. It could be about something else, That's what kind of makes it cool too, is it's a secret.
Well, it's funny. There's a well-known classical piece by Edward Elgar that was kind of that idea called the Enigma Variations.
Enigma Variations,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's basically what he did was he wrote these variations based on each different friends that he knew or people that he knew in his life,
Yeah.
and it represented their personality. But he never told anybody what variation belonged to who, and then he put these
That's
really
cool.
cryptic titles on each one, and he mixed up the names and stuff, so it was a mystery as to who it really was. And,
Wow.
But it became
Yeah.
one of his most famous pieces,
Yeah.
Enigma Variations by Edward Elgar.
I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I like when artists do that. I really
Yeah.
do. It's just something about it. Because
Yeah.
my thing is, one of the reasons why I really like the Orville song too is it's different. There
Mhm.
aren't too many Orville songs.
Right.
It's just, you need to, I always say, like, one of my favorite quotes that I wrote actually is if you think about all the number of songs that are dropped on Spotify each day,
Mhm.
I forget what the actual data was, but it was like 60,000 songs per day or something. it's
Sounds about
really
right.
important that you separate yourself as an artist. So by separate yourself is, I mean, be different. Look at things that people aren't doing. Find an awesome community like the Orville and get in touch with them.
Yeah.
Things like that. I think artists need to do that more.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a dichotomy of, on one hand, you want to be unique, so you stand out.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what a lot of people do is you want to hook up to a pre-existing community and or fan base.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, if you're so unique that nobody else can relate to it, they're just like, well, you might as well just be crazy. And that actually might be the definition of being crazy,
That's true. There's that certain level of uniqueness you need to find that people can understand.
Yeah. And another way to look at it is to find your calling.
Yeah.
That's a way where, because every human being is unique.
Yeah.
And has their own talents. And then
very true. Yeah.
Just to find like your thing, like sort of like your talent that you were born with.
Yeah.
That it's sort of like your life mission to develop that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to try
about it,
Yeah, trying to be spiritual. I think it's important to try multiple things too. And I always try and say, and a lot of people I know are against this, but I always like to turn my passions into a way that I can make income or find a way to, make my life more enjoyable. For example, I love music, so I became an artist. I love video games, so I started streaming video games on Twitch. I love, reviewing books and films and stuff, so I'm going to start a YouTube channel and probably start reviewing films and books and, doing videos off of that. Like, make a business off of the things that you're into. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, and of course, if it's stuff that you really enjoy, then
work is supposed to be fun.
It'll be authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you can do that, you're already being me. I have to have a day job to support all this stuff.
And there's nothing wrong with having a day job. I have a day job too, Matt. But I mean, my goal is you want to turn your side hustles into your main.
Right.
You need a main to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, though I'm going to throw a caveat on that is that if you do have a side hustle, it does provide you the financial independence so that you can be more experimental with your artistic thing. And if your artistic thing crashes, you're not going to starve.
Yeah.
So it gives you some freedom there.
Yeah. That's true.
Try stuff.
Yeah.
Because I do know some YouTubers, they just get so obsessed with how to beat the algorithm, and how to publish just the right video of just the right length.
Yeah.
So that it'll get all the maximum views and the maximum monetization and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to think about that anymore.
And that stuff's important. I try not to drown myself out too much with that. Don't get me wrong. I do my research, but I'm a trial and error kind of guy. Learn through trial and error. Just make content. Have fun.
What I discovered, I think this is the best thing about YouTube and the best thing about what things are today, is that people are really into YouTubers and artists or whatever who can just be totally authentic.
Yes.
And talk about anything. Which is kind of how this show is. We just talk,
Yeah.
And I get so drawn to shows like that way more than somebody that's just putting on a show.
Yeah.
And it's trying to create, like it really used to be that artists had to always maintain their image. And once they've developed an image, they have to keep maintaining that persona and always make sure that they stay in character,
Yeah.
And now luckily all that's gone as far as I can tell. And now people realize that, if you play Captain Kirk, if you're Chris Pine and you play Captain Kirk and J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, you can still come on a show and a podcast dressed in a t-shirt with your hair all messed up and drop F-bombs and, act like a normal guy, and people won't freak out because you're not being the character they thought you were.
Yeah.
In fact, to tell you the truth, people like me are way more fascinated to see the real person behind the mask.
Yeah, I agree.
So
there's something about being authentic. It's like you said, the authentic YouTubers, those are the ones that I stick with too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's way better. Plus, you know what? It's way better for your mental health
Yeah.
because it's a lot easier to just be yourself than to try and always uphold basically what's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing. I mean, you can put on a character as long as you know how to put it on and take it off, and put it on and take it off, and realize it's not you. It's just a character you play.
Yeah. If
Then
you can
it's
have that
fine.
on and off button mentally in your head, then I guess that's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, all that stuff is cool. So we're now hooked up on Twitter, and then do you ever show up in the chat, like when JP does a live stream? Are you in the chat?
Yeah, I've been watching. Yeah. Wait. JP.
Are you Sean Mic over there?
JP and PJ confused.
Well, JP is Egotastic Fun Time.
Okay. Yeah. I'm tapped in with both of those chats.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I know JP's doing The Last of Us now, which I'm a huge fan of. So.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that show yet. I gotta watch it.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good.
Okay, I gotta watch that. Very good. Well, I think what I gotta do is we should put links of all your stuff down in the description down here.
Yeah.
For sure.
We can do that.
And then people are gonna get to see and hear your Orville rap because we just put it right in this show.
Yeah.
And I'll also put links to your YouTube channel too.
Yeah.
And any other stuff, like, are you on Facebook too, or?
Yeah.
Or
all
Instagram,
of the socials, it's Sean Mic 517. SEANMIC 517.
Send me all the links and we'll put them all down there.
Yeah, I can do that.
And all that stuff. And then we just got to stay hooked up.
Yeah.
DM me whenever you want.
Okay.
Also, if you Facebook friend me, I also respond to Facebook Messenger too.
Okay.
Either way, I'm really good at responding.
Cool.
I could give you my cell phone number, but I'll tell you that if you call, I hardly ever answer my cell phone. So basically, just be texting me anyways. So what's the difference? So anyhow, well, it's good to get to know you a little bit, and then let's stay in touch so we can figure out how to collaborate. If you do indeed want to be on Egotastic Track,
yeah,
we can
absolutely.
figure out a way to create a character for you, and you can come in and be a guest star. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. All right, sir. So what I usually do, because almost everybody in my show knows a little bit about Star Trek.
Okay.
I usually do this thing. Live long and prosper.
I've heard of that. I know what that is.
Of course, we have this joke. The joke that JP does is Jaloja long and prosper.
That's a good twist on it, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you watch the Orville, it's especially if you're a guy over 50, which is me. Jaloja long and prosper is an important ability to have. Anyway, all right, sir. Take care.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me on, man.
Out there on the internet and collaborate and do all kinds of fun stuff together.
Yes, sir.
All right. Till next time.
Till next time, sir.
Pranakasha production. Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life.
For the benefit of all beings everywhere.
We gotta